The Capitol Rotunda is closing at this hour after being open for more than 35 hours, so the public could pay its respects to our 41st president. Mr. Bush is just the 12th president to lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda.
This morning, the former president's casket will travel about 5 miles in a motorcade from the east front of the Capitol to the Washington National Cathedral. At his state funeral, Mr. Bush will be eulogized by his biographer, Jon Meacham, who also did the eulogy at Barbara Bush's funeral, and his son, the 43rd president, that's George W. Bush. Bianna Golodryga is already there outside the National Cathedral. Bianna, good morning.
Good morning to you, Gayle. It is, in fact, a day of reflection, mourning and honoring one of our dear leaders, a thing that will bring this country together as it has these past few days. Guests will start lining up behind me over the next couple of hours to honor the former president. And those who were able to make it to the Capitol were given one of these cards to take home in honor of President George H.W. Bush. On the back of it lists in chronological order the president's more than 50 years in public service, along with a message of gratitude from the family. That dedication to the nation will be honored here today at the National Cathedral, where attendees will include President and Mrs. Trump and all living former presidents.
Crowds lined up outside the Capitol in the cold and well after dark Tuesday, waiting to say goodbye to President George H.W. Bush. In the evening, members of the Bush family, including former President George W. Bush, stopped by to thank the crowd. And on an otherwise somber and emotional day, the 43rd president tried to lighten the mood, a fitting tribute to a man who loved to laugh, as his grandchildren Pierce Bush and Lauren Bush Lauren told Norah O'Donnell.
What's the best advice your grandfather ever gave you?
It's more themes from just how he lived, but it's always give the other guy credit. You know, if you fall, get up.
And I think don't take yourself too seriously.
That approach won Mr. Bush respect from all Americans. At the Capitol, where members of the 5 military branches stand guard and change the guard every 30 minutes, the president's service dog, sports celebrities like Peyton Manning and Coach K, paid respects, alongside disabled Americans whose lives were changed by the Americans with Disabilities Act. The late Senator John McCain's wife, Cindy, political leaders from both sides of the aisle, as well as close friend and former Senator Bob Dole, also visited to pay their respects. And in the afternoon, President and Mrs. Trump stopped to visit the Bush family, a public showing of peace between the families who have clashed.
My dad was a really unique, special guy.
Jeb Bush said Americans today could learn a lesson from his father.
It'd be bad to be the end of an era where you actually care about family and you support one another and you show integrity and compassion and courage.
We could all learn a little something from the former president. Now, the funeral service here at the National Cathedral will be led by the Reverend Dr. Russell Levinson Jr., who was with the president in his final moments. He was also with his wife, Barbara Bush, in her final moments back in April. Well, afterwards, the president will be flown back to Houston. And of course, we'll be here all morning to keep you updated on the events throughout the ceremony. And Norah, when I spoke with Reverend Levinson in Houston, I asked him about the president and his relationship with his faith. He said he was a man of simple faith, that he didn't want much fuss going into his funeral services. In fact, he said that it was Barbara who was everyone's spiritual leader. And of course, from all the stories you've heard, you can concur as well.
Oh, yeah. Bianna, thank you so much.